I'm on the tee of a demanding par 4, and the distance that I need to hit it doesn't necessarily suit my driver. In the game of golf, a lot of strokes are wasted not by what happens from the tee to the green, but by what happens between these. Ben Crenshaw once said that the most important distance in the game of golf is the distance between your ears. Poor decisions up here lead to poor club selection, poor strategy, and inferior course management. What I see a lot in Pro-Ams is players walk up onto the tee of a par 4 or par 5 and automatically reach for the driver, tee it up in the middle of the tee, and aim down the middle of the fairway, when they might be better off with a 3-wood, teeing up on either side of the tee, aiming away from the middle of the fairway. Remember when Mike discussed using your tendencies? Well, that is an important factor in managing the golf course instead of letting it manage you. Now let's join Mike for a valuable lesson on how to use the most important distance in the game to your advantage.
Now we're going to talk about strategies. One of the biggest mistakes I see with amateurs is they come up to the tee, they automatically walk up here with the driver. They don't even look at the hole or take into account how they're playing. It's a par 4 or a par 5. I'm just going to stand up and hit driver. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make. So I've played this golf course before, and so I know that there's some strategies that I need to use. When I'm looking at this card, I notice that, okay, the hole is 390 yards long, all right, but I also know there's a lake down there, and there's also a slope. So I could hit driver, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm not playing that well that day, or I'm not hitting my driver that well. And the other question is it really worth hitting? For most people, if you can just get the ball somewhere within 150 yards of the green, you're going to be pretty good. If you try to get it a lot closer, you bring in the risk of, can you control the driver, and how does the hole affect you? In other words, is there a lake down there? You know, what's going on? Do you have to be really precise with your shots? You don't have to hit driver off every hole that's a par 4 or a par 5. In fact, most of the good players in the world don't do that. They're playing to their strengths, and they're using strategies to play the hole to the best of their ability based on how they're playing that day. So don't just assume because you're coming up to the tee that it's a driver because it's a par 4 or par 5. That may not be the club to hit. Now, what we need to do is we need to find out what's out there so we know what club it is we're going to use off this tee and what gives us the best chance for success. This hole has a very wide fairway, so there's a lot of room here if you go to the right spot. Now, if you look at the hole from the tee, what you can see is we're sloped down to the 150. Now, from the back tee, I can get to that 150 with about a 4 or 5 iron. Because of all the slope in the fairway, I don't have to hit it that total distance. It's going to run all the way down to that 150 marker. Now, at the 150-yard marker, I have about 60 yards wide of fairway to hit to. That's a lot of room. If I go another 50 yards further or 40 yards further, if I try to hit my driver, yeah, it'd be nice to be up around 100 yards, but now I only have about 20 or 25 yards max of fairway to hit to, and then I've got water and trees. So this hole, it's not worth the risk to hit the driver. Even if you hit it well, you're not guaranteed of a birdie. All right, now we understand what the hole's all about. So we know where the lake is, we know where the 150 is. We also have seen that there's a big drop off in the fairway, which is going to make the ball run a lot further. Now I have a couple of options here. I can try to hit the driver, which I'm going to do so we can take a look at what that would do if I hit a good one. Now we've hit the driver out there. Now we'll go down and we'll take a look at where that is. The reality though, this hole with the way it slopes, you really don't need to hit the driver because when we go down and look at it, we'll see how narrow it is where the lake is. So the risk reward here relative to the hole probably isn't worth it. Now when we're talking about course management, one of the best drills all of you could do for course management, if you just go out and take your favorite club, take a 7-iron or a 6-iron, whatever club you know you can get in the air, control the distance it goes and pretty much where it goes, go out and play 18 holes with that club, your sand wedge, and your putter. What you'll find is you may amaze yourself at the scores that you shoot because now you're forced into management. Let's say you're 200 yards away from a green. and you've got your 7-iron and there's a lake. Well, you can't hit your 7-iron 200 yards, so what are you going to do? Well, you'll find an area to hit to that makes your next shot a lot easier. That's called course management. That's how good players play. Everybody does that at every level. So taking that one club out will really help you. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going clear down to a 5-iron. And the reason I'm going to hit a 5-iron is what that will do with this yardage is it'll get me over the first hill. When the ball gets over the first hill, it'll run down and I'll get down there pretty close to the 150-yard marker, which is really all I need. And the lake is not in play. So this club takes the lake totally out of play. Much easier shot to hit. It's in play. I don't have to worry about where it's going to end up. Now I've got the hole set up for my second shot. Well, here I am. You know, if I had a ball retriever, I guess I could grab that driver out of the lake. Now, I really hit a pretty good drive, and I didn't hit it that far offline, maybe only 5 or 10 yards, but it kicked down into the water. So now I've brought bogey, double bogey, triple bogey into play. So again, this is one of those deals where I tried to hit a shot, and I guess if you were playing match play and you were way down, you might go for it. But the reality is you're better off to play to a safer area where you've got almost a guarantee of not making worse than bogey. So if we come back up here, and we walk up here just a little bit further, now it's not a long ways, but because I hit a 5-iron off the tee, and I had the slope here, the ball runs down here. Now I've got myself just inside 150 yards. I have a lot of fairway. If I hit that shot 10 times, I wouldn't be out of the fairway. And now I've got a fairly easy shot up to the green. I'm on a flat lie, so I've not taken the risk, but I've put myself in the best possible position. No, I'm not up there 100 yards away, but the reality is the risk wasn't worth what I was going to get out of it. So one, I hit one in the lake. The other, this one, never going to hit this ball in the lake and probably never going to miss the fairway. So when it comes to course management, another game I'd like you to try is when you look at the scorecards, find the widest part of the fairway and figure out the yardage. You can do that and hit to that yardage. Then when you're looking at the green, forget the flag. Don't even look at the flag. If you look at this flag up here, it's way over on the right-hand side, brings the bunkers into play. Most of you, the flag is like it's sitting there going, come on, you're good enough. You see the guys on TV on Sunday go at the flags. Well, the reality is if you just hit at the middle of the green, you're going to hit a lot of shots closer to the flag than you do when you try to hit at the flag. So just play to the middle of the greens. Play to the biggest part of the fairway. Play to the biggest part of the greens. If you'll do that and you'll be disciplined with it, I promise you'll be taking money from your friends while they're in the water or in the trees looking for their golf ball. If you'll do this, you're going to have a lot more fun with the game.
Target strategies and course management. Play to your strengths. Evaluate hole prior to teeing. Play to the widest part of the fairway and green. Play a practice round with your favorite club, sand wedge, and putter. Attempt shots you can execute successfully 6 to 8 times out of 10 on average.